There were once two poor brothers, Kasim and Ali Baba, and each married. Kasim married for money. He married a wealthy woman who owned a large warehouse business. But Ali Baba married for love and married a woman as poor as he was. Greedy Kasim did not help his brother at all, did not share from his own new wealth. Ali made his living just barely by going out to the forest outside of the city each day and working hard to chop firewood, which he sold in the evenings inside the city walls. One day, when Ali Baba was gathering wood in this way out in the forests, he heard many horses coming his direction, and he was afraid it might be a band of robbers, and so he released his own 3 mules to wander off, and he climbed a high tree and hid among the branches. Soon, many riders came and gathered their horses at the foot of Ali Baba's tree. He counted 40 of them, and their leader spoke in such a way that Ali was sure now that they were indeed robbers. Then the leader dismounted from his horse, and carrying saddlebags filled with jingling coins, this leader approached the base of a large, steep rock which lay right next to the tree in which Ali Baba was hiding. The leader walked up to the base of the rock, and he said these words, "Open, Sesame." And suddenly, a door slid open in the side of the rock itself. Ali Baba was so shocked he almost fell from the tree, but he managed to hold on. The robber chief stood there and watched as his 39 friends walked into the cave carrying their stolen loot, and then he followed them, and the door slid silently shut behind him. Now Ali Baba was so afraid that he wanted to get away, but he feared that if he came down now, one of them might come back out and see him and kill him, and so he waited high in his tree until they had come out again about an hour later and gotten back onto their horses and thundered off. When he knew that the robbers were truly gone, Ali Baba went to the base of the rock below, and he repeated what the leader of the robbers had said, "Open, Sesame." The door slid open, and Ali Baba walked into what he thought was going to be a dark, wet cave. Instead, he found a huge cave brightly lit because there were holes in the rock high up, and sunlight poured in. And with that sunlight, Ali Baba saw treasure. There were bags of golden and silver coins, and treasure chests filled with jewels and pearls. "At last," he said, "at last my family shall starve no more." And quickly gathering a bunch of the golden coins, he went back to the door. But he found it had slid shut behind him when he came in. Still, he remembered the magic words, and he simply said, "Open, Sesame." The door opened, and he took his gold out, and the door shut behind him again. Now Ali Baba found his 3 wandering mules, and he loaded the gold upon their backs, and covered the gold with some of his firewood so no one would see the sacks, and he hurried home to the city. He went back home, and took the gold into his home, and shut all the doors and shutters so no one could see in, and then he called his wife into the room and showed her the treasure. "Aye," she cried, "did you steal this from the treasury of His Majesty the Emperor? We shall die for this." "No, no, wife," said Ali Baba. "Do not fear. I have only robbed robbers." And he told her the story. And then he said, "Now I shall go and dig a deep hole in our backyard to bury the coins in." "I shall count them," she said. "There are too many to count. Don't bother. We have more than enough. That's all we need to know." "Well, still, I'd like to know how many there are," she said. So he went out to dig the hole, and she began to count. But soon she found he was right. There were too many coins to count one by one. "I know," she said. "I shall go to Ali Baba's brother's house. Kasim and his wife have corn measures, big pots, and I can borrow one of those pots, and in this way I can count a whole number of coins at one time." And she went to Kasim Baba's wife and asked to borrow a corn measure. But Kasim's greedy wife, as greedy as Kasim himself, thought, "Ali Baba's family is so poor. What do they have so much of that they need a corn measure to measure with?" And so she stuck a little bit of wax in the bottom of the corn measure. And when Ali Baba's wife used it to count the coins. One of the golden coins stuck in the wax. When she brought the coin measure back to Kasim's wife, Kasim found the coin and rushed into her husband. "Look," she said, "you think that we are the wealthy ones in your family, but your brother Ali Baba has so much gold, he has to use a coin measure to measure it with." That's insane. That's crazy," said Kasim. "He is a poor nothing." "A poor nothing, eh?" she said. "Well, look at this," and she held up the coin. "Give me that," said Kasim. "I'll go confront him with this right away." And he took the coin and rushed to Ali's little house. "Now, brother," he said to Ali, who had just finished burying his treasure, "brother, tell me at once about this gold of yours." "What gold do you mean?" said Ali Baba. "This gold," said Kasim, and he held up the coin. And then Ali knew that through his wife's foolishness or carelessness, Kasim knew everything. "Brother," he said, "I will tell you." "You had better, for if you are a thief, I can always turn you into the police." "That's not a very brotherly thought," said Ali. "And you don't need to threaten me. There's plenty for both of us, and you are, after all, still my brother." And he told the whole story to Kasim Baba. Kasim was so greedy that the very next day he took 10 big pack mules, each carrying 2 wooden chests, and following Ali Baba's explicit directions, he found the big rock in which was the treasure cave. For more titles from Jim Weiss and Well-Trained Mind Press, please visit us at jimweiss.com or welltrainedmind.com. Thank you for listening.